Studios!
Everything's gone dark. If music is gone, that means everything is changing.
That's what Nick is saying. He said, my legions are coming. I can't fight this thing.
You called.
Welcome, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
On a school night.
I know.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, we have summoned you here today to discuss The Devil's Chord.
Indeed.
When did you last watch The Devil's Chord?
2 days ago, which is only my second viewing, so I've only seen it twice.
Wonderful. Is that how many times you've seen it, Ethan? Twice?
Yeah, probably twice.
Yeah, we watched it again tonight over dinner. But before we get into that, I've got a little bit of an introduction for you.
Okay.
So you have your own podcast.
I do.
Called About Time, and it's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're also known for the Doctor Who fan orchestra, which is really special. So it actually goes back 12 years ago.
God, is it really that long?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
it
going to
is.
scare you with some facts now.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to make you feel really old.
Oh, yeah.
So 12 years ago, you debuted your first Doctor Who fan orchestra, now correct me if I'm wrong, on the 10th of July 2011.
That sounds right, yes.
So you did, is it I Am the Doctor?
That's right, yeah.
So I remember that. So I was 16 at the time.
Okay.
And I was like in the closet, still at school.
Oh.
And music was like a real comfort to me. And to see your videos, you bringing all these musicians together, including yourself, and make something so special, it was amazing. It was really, it still is amazing now. And you did quite a few after that, didn't you? Did you do about 11 in total? 12?
Yeah, 10, I think, yeah.
10 in total. And you racked up 750,000 views. Did you know that?
What, overall?
Overall.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
What made you come up with the idea?
Okay, so I've always been a massive fan of Murray Gold's scores. Yeah. And I used to, actually before the Doctor Who Fan Orchestra, I used to run a website called the Doctor Who MIDI Archive, where I used to basically from the age of about 14, I was obsessing over Murray's scores and like turning them into MIDI files and stuff and putting them online. And then from that, I was starting to do covers and like my own covers on piano and stuff like that. And then I had a few instruments, like, you know, I played the clarinet for a couple of years, but not very well, but I still had it. And I thought, well, maybe I could record myself doing the piano and then the clarinet over the top. And then this idea sort of got a bit bigger. And I thought, I wonder if I know anyone who plays the violin. And like, you know what I mean? It just kind of, I thought, okay, what if I could get someone who plays every instrument that needs to be in that piece and like put them together?
Wow.
Yeah. And then the first piece we did had like 30 people or something. But then by the end, it was like we were having to cap applicants at like 200 because that would fill up in like a day.
That's
so,
insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So where did you put the call out? Do you recall?
Originally, it was on my YouTube channel where I did the Doctor Who MIDI stuff and on the forum Gallifrey Base or whatever it was called at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
think I remember seeing the YouTube video for one of the call outs, thinking, how can I be a part of this? Like thinking, could I offer my skills on like the triangle or something?
Yeah,
so I didn't have a musical bone in my body.
No.
But it was amazing. So I hope you realised how special that thing was. Did you ever get like recognised? Did Murray ever comment on it or?
So yeah, Murray did. He from the first one actually. He DM'd me on Twitter and said that he really appreciated it, and he followed us. Each piece we did, and gave his approval, which was nice.
Wow,
I remember for when we did This Is Gallifrey, he said to me that you've obviously listened to that really well to like make the arrangement because you've got it basically spot on, and I was like, oh, that's an amazing compliment from the man himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wouldn't it be awful because they say not to meet your heroes.
I know.
It's just like really horrible. It's like clarinet's a bit sloppy. Like just the feedback you got.
Well, I have met him a few times, and because I think for me it's don't meet your heroes not because they're going to turn out to be disappointing, but because you're going to make a tit of yourself in front of them. I think that's what always happens to me.
You could do a whole episode about music in Doctor Who, to be fair, and about your association with it as well, because it goes back so far. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually have some more general questions for you now.
Oh gosh, okay.
How did you first discover Doctor Who?
I remember when it was coming back, my parents saw the adverts and were like, oh, we should watch that together, because they watched it when they were kids. And they were like, yeah, it'd be good. So I was like, okay, cool. And we watched Rose. And from then on, I was basically hooked.
And that was on broadcast, you watched it?
I didn't know, we recorded it and then we watched it on the Sunday. But like the first few weeks, it was like we would watch it together. And then I got really into it and I was like, I need to just watch it as soon as it airs. And they were like, not available for that. So I just like went ahead and watched it without them. So it started out as a lovely, wholesome family thing. And then it was like, no, this is my obsession.
I love that. So you saw Rose with Graham Norton as well. You didn't miss out on because you recorded it with little Graham Norton.
I thought it was
basement.
part of the episode.
So did I. I remember that vividly. Could you please name, just to give us a feel, your top Doctor Who episode? Name one.
That currently number one on my list is Human Nature.
Really? Because you've been rewatching New Who with your partner. Yeah.
And that's always been pretty much my favourite, just because I love the concept. I think it's so cool that, you know, this man doesn't realise that he's actually a Time Lord in disguise, and like he's got all this potential locked away that he can't access. And you know, I just think it's a really cool concept, and it's really well performed by everyone.
That is a good choice.
Really good choice. Have you read the novel version? Or
recently? Actually, I read it for the first time. Yeah.
How did it compare? 'Cause I haven't read it.
It's interesting. As a fan of the episode, it's really interesting to see the original version. It's quite different.
Is it?
In many ways, but it's nice to see where it is the same as well.
Is it a Seventh Doctor novel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you get into merchandise when you were younger watching Doctor Who? Did you buy any of the?
Not really. It was the soundtracks for me. I had like the odd thing. Like I had for some reason, I don't know why, but I had a plastic Auton.
Oh wow!
Of all the random things I have, and I had one of the adipose stress toys, but it burst, as I think many people's did.
Yes. So you were like the 1%. You weren't begging at Christmas for the 12-inch radio control Dalek.
Oh, actually, you just unlocked a memory, because yes, I did.
You did. Which version did you get?
I mean, I'm about 3 years older than you, so I feel like I was slightly too old to be asking for radio controlled Daleks, but you know.
Wow. Did you get one?
I did, yes.
Nice.
You say that, Stephen, but I remember when the Dalek came out, I was very much the age that would ask for that, I would think. But then the K9 came out, didn't it, a couple of years later? And by the time that came out, I remember thinking I was probably a bit too old for it. Yeah. I don't know if I was. I feel like that came out after the Dalek, like sometime after.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you're never too old, really, are you? It's just...
Well, now, no. Once you get past that stage.
Yeah.
You realise being a Doctor Who fan it's terminal. There's no cure. Oh, God. But we... obviously held a watch party, and we had the privilege of watching the first 2 episodes of this series with you in person. So that was really exciting. And it was quite nerve-wracking for us. We've held one watch party before in November, but it was just with Jack and Tom. And we wanted to do a bit of a bigger one for this time around. So what did you think it would be, like a watch party? Was it your first watch party?
Yeah, first time I've ever watched an episode like on broadcast with fans, like which was quite an experience, because that's like people of the same sort of like-minded, you know, we're all there and we all realise how important it is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it's not important at all, is it? But you know, to us as fans, it is. Yeah, so that was cool. But yeah, I think it was pretty much what I was expecting, which was a lot of laughs, a lot of alcohol.
Yes. A lot of screaming.
Yes.
A lot of shouting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed being there.
Oh, so getting into the episode, The Devil's Chord. So we've obviously spoken about Space Babies with you on your podcast for an episode that will come out in a couple of weeks. That's really exciting. So we've invited you on to talk about The Devil's Chord. So I'll just start by setting the scene. of the episode. So it starts out in 1925 and we meet Henry Harbinger and he's having a piano lesson. He wants Timothy Drake, his music teacher, to teach him something a bit more interesting. And the music teacher says, well, there's this like devil's chord, which is meant to summon the devil, and out comes Maestro. So Jinx Monsoon. What did you think as soon as Jinx pops out of that piano?
So obviously I'd seen the clip of it before, so I knew we were in for like a very camped up performance, but I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would.
In context.
Yeah.
Because it'd been hyped up for a really long time, hadn't it? They had the photo shoot of Jinx in a costume. So we'd seen like a lot of sort of teasers and clips and things, but then we finally got that entrance. I think the room was set alight as soon as Jinx comes out of that piano.
Yeah. It's just the look on their face as they first appeared.
Yes.
It's just like, you know, immediately that this is going to be a great performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all knew it was going to be good, but I don't think we quite realised how good the performance was going to be. Even rewatching it tonight, I mean, Jinx is just electric. What did you think of Henry, Stephen? Like, because it's clearly setting something up there.
Yeah, I think I'm quite a fan of the name, the joke with like H. Harbinger.
Yes.
It reminded me of the kind of jokes Russell likes to make, like Miss Foster, when she's like, as in foster mother. Like,
very literal, isn't it?
Yeah, not to jump ahead, but the fact that you see him again at the end suggests that there's more to come of something.
You see them get killed at the start, but then they appear again at the end, which makes me think it's like, she says that it's a prelude. It feels like a separate entity.
Yeah, because Maestro says now his song is sung, and then Henry just like gets sort of disappeared.
Yeah, so I guess the idea is that they could return because it's like, in a way, like it's the Maestro's servant or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a subordinate.
Because he's at the end, isn't he? He's sort of slithering about in the doorway.
Yeah.
Like slinks off.
Yeah.
But you made a really good point, didn't you? When Maestro turns to Timothy Drake, sort of fawns over him, you made a great comment, a great parallel to the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, so I thought when we first watched it, and I can see it this time as well, to be fair, is that there's like potential there for the episode to be about Maestro using Timothy as like a sort of servant. So, you know, like in Sarah Jane, you'd often get like an alien with like a servant, like a man or a woman who they're basically using to help them get what they want. And you can imagine like Maestro running rings around Timothy for the whole episode, but obviously it wasn't to be, he just gets killed.
Yeah. Like the Mona Lisa and
exactly like that.
Yeah. But no, you're right. So Maestro drains Timothy Drake, sort of drinks the music out of his soul, and
and sucks it off the baton.
Yeah. God, I think I would have put it quite like that, but yeah.
And I have to mention that little noise she
Yeah,
makes.
exactly.
Hiccup.
It's like, They knew what they were doing.
I think it's touched upon it, Unleashed. Like Jinx and the director, they just let the camera keep rolling and rolling and rolling, and they don't need to do it again. But Jinx says like, "Oh, let's go again," and like they just play it a slightly different way each time and see what works and see what doesn't. They were a great tandem, the director and Jinx. They were really bouncing off each other.
Yeah.
And all these little, you know, like little things like the hiccup and things and like picking the teeth with the baton. It feels like ad-libbed slightly. It might not be, but it feels like ad-libbed, you know?
Well, it's just, like from the script alone, you don't get half as much as what you get from seeing the performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's so dependent on the actor, like enhancing the character. And with the Maestro, 100% you get that. Like for me, it's one of the most memorable Doctor Who villains ever already.
Yeah.
And I want them back already.
Yeah, it feels like only a drag queen could play that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only a drag queen could play it that well.
Yeah.
100%.
So Maestro looks at the camera, like sort of turns their head really quickly, and they play the Doctor Who theme on the piano.
Honestly, I thought there was going to be more to it. I thought, for my first thought was like, okay, it's like Maestro is commenting on the fact that this is a TV show because she literally knows the theme of it. You know, it's like she's out. Sorry, the character is they. I need to say they. So it's like they're outside of the story in a sense because they can transcend it. But it didn't really go anywhere. It was like it was just a little nod for us. But and then it comes back obviously at the end in the in the middle in the confrontation in the like that void. They sort of play the dun chords as well, like when they're getting really angry. And it's like in playing it in front of the Doctor, it's almost like I don't know. It's crazy, like playing the Doctor Who theme in front of the Doctor. It feels wrong.
Yeah, it does. You feel seen. It feels weird.
It's funny, like when Maestro plays it at the start, obviously it's like the key, isn't it? It's on the piano going down. But then does it like transition to the normal theme or is it slightly different? It's just the normal theme, isn't it?
Yeah, transitions to the normal theme.
Yeah.
I think
it keeps
so,
going for longer than I sort of thought it would. But on our rewatch tonight, I noticed something that I didn't pick up on. The theme tune carries on playing on the jukebox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which again, does that mean the Doctor Who theme is a real piece of music within the Whoniverse?
I want to see the Beatles.
Yeah, and Ruby's listening to it.
She looks sort of bewildered.
Yeah, she says that she wants to see the Beatles recording their first album. The Doctor says that is amazing. And he says that people always want to see the Titanic, which we know the Ninth Doctor's visited on screen, sort of in a photograph.
This is a photograph of the Daniels family of Southampton and friend. This was taken the day before they were due to sail for the New World on the Titanic. And for some unknown reason, they cancelled the trip and survived.
Or Mars, or Bethlehem. We've not seen that one. That might be interesting.
Oh, God.
But the Beatles, why have I never done that before? And I noticed that he pulls a lever and there's no TARDIS fanfare. They've just landed. And I was listening to a podcast today and they were talking about how the TARDIS has been like landing really sort of differently this series, sort of crash lands and just acting different to what we know. And is that important? I don't know. I think the director of this episode is amazing. So you get this swooping shot of them going in one corridor and then straight away they're coming out from the above one in their 60s outfit. So what were you thinking, Stephen, when they came out in those? Because we have seen those outfits, but to see the transition.
The transition was amazing, wasn't it? I hope we get more of that kind of thing because it's really nice. It's just, and you can just, in that whole bit, you can just sense the fun that Ncuti and Millie are having together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Even the fun that the show's having with itself sort of thing. You don't really get that sort of dressing up for the time period very often. We haven't had that for a really long time.
Yeah, but I think as well, the thing that really sells it isn't even like the dialogue, it's everything else. So it's like the way that they're acting and the fun they're having, all the laughter, all the like silliness is it feels very like real and spontaneous.
Yeah.
To me anyway. And it really helps sell the excitement of it. I mean, they look amazing as well.
They do. Yeah.
So you can just tell that, you know, the atmosphere there must have been electric when they were filming that.
I just don't think that that's been done as well or given the same sort of feeling of fun since like probably series 1 where Rose gets into her outfit for the Unquiet Dead and it really feels like they're living inside this time machine and it's like they're home and they've landed somewhere and they go and they raid the costume box.
Yeah. I tell you what it reminded me of slightly was Idiot's Lantern. I think that's probably the closest in that era.
Yes.
To it with Rose in her 50s dress and the Doctor makes a token effort with his hair.
Yes.
You know, and then the motorcycle and everything. Kind of them having fun together like that.
Even then, you're so right about it. Like you can tell that because the rapport between the two actors is so good.
Poor Martha didn't get a scene like that, did she? Because she got taken to the Shakespeare Times. That she just wore her outfit, didn't she? Jeans and a top.
I mean, the only time Martha dressed up was Human Nature.
Yeah, but you don't get the sense of fun from that one because it's quite serious.
Miserable.
Yeah. Donna gets it. So was it Flapper or Slapper?
Oh, yeah.
So she gets her moment where she steps out and she's changed. That's nice. But I love scenes like that. They're some of my favourite sort of Doctor Who moments. We don't get enough of them.
Yeah, because you would dress up, wouldn't you? You'd make the most of it. I would.
Yeah, you just get to play dress up. So they step out the TARDIS and they're in 1963. I wrote in my notes that Millie and Ncuti, they're just joyous. They're dancing on the zebra crossing and they're taking a moment to just like get all excited.
But I also really like that Ruby as a character like often takes control of the situation as well. So like the doctor says, they're talking about how they're going to get in, and she comes up with the idea of like just off the cuff of like getting the tea trolley off the tea lady. And it's nice that it feels like a companion actually has like instincts and they drive the plot themselves sometimes. I think it's harder to do that when you've got several companions. So the fact that it's just the one is perfect. Because we get to know her a bit more every episode, like we get to know the Doctor more every episode as well. Ruby definitely shines in this one.
Because we talked about it in our Space Babies chat, that Ruby does seem to do that a lot. She's not sort of phased very often, and she always sort of knows what to do. And we sort of were theorising, weren't we? Is she the perfect companion? And is that linked to like some theories that she's been made for the Doctor as some sort of trap? But this definitely is sort of evidence of that, because she, like you say, before the Doctor even thinks of an idea or has a chance to get out the psychic paper, she's saying there's always a Janet and everyone wants a cuppa, and she's just like completely confident about it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we meet the Beatles. So what did you think, Stephen, of the Beatles on screen? Obviously, there was a bit of discourse online.
People went mad.
Yeah. I don't care if they look accurate. I mean, you know, I've said this as well, but like Pauline Collins doesn't look like Queen Victoria.
The correct form of address is Your Majesty.
Dean Lennox Kelly doesn't look like Shakespeare.
Shut your big fat mouth!
So, you know, it doesn't matter. It's the performance. But having said that, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different when it's much more recent memory, when, you know, we've got video footage and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't need clones of them. You just need a sense of them, really.
Yeah.
I did like the bit just before they start the song where they're sort of having a bit of banter in the studio. That felt quite realistic.
It feels very authentic, doesn't it? Like in terms of like the sets and the interiors and the studios and things. Like I don't know anything about the Beatles at all. I'm never going to pretend to know. But like the atmosphere felt like, I can imagine it being like this.
Yeah.
In the studio.
And like you say, that they're both like hyping each other up, and it feels so natural and real. And then the Beatles sing. I've got a dog. He's called Fred. My dog is alive. He's not dead. So they're both obviously very disappointed. And their reactions, I mean, there was
so funny.
Real laughter in the room that night.
Yes. I love how they start. It starts and they sort of think, oh yeah, I don't recognise this one, but okay, and then they're like, oh, what the fuck? Gradually transitions. Yeah.
All that comedy sort of lands perfectly, and that's completely down to Millie and Shooty, because you can't write their reactions into a script.
No,
they turn up on the day, and it's just amazing. They go into another studio and they see Cilla Black. What did you think of the actress playing Cilla Black? Not that she's in it very much. That's a whole. No,
that's the big shame, isn't it? I believe there was more, but it got cut. Would have been nice to see more, because I feel like from the way she talks on Unleashed, like she's got the perfect accent for it.
Yes.
And I think that gets lost in the singing. So it's like she was perfect casting, but the bit they actually used is not her best bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean. But
so we've all started the hashtag, haven't we? Release the Cilla cut.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because apparently they did film a lot more, and the actress tweeted that she was disappointed, basically.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
Shooty saying, oh, Cilla.
You are quite happy, I think, perhaps.
Oh, Cilla.
That'll never not be funny.
Oh, God. So Cilla's also singing a terrible song. And I mean, they seem quite surprised, but I mean, have you heard Cilla Black singing? I didn't think it sounded too different, to be honest. I mean,
funny thing is, it's like in the episode, the beat of it and the timing of it is exactly the same as the Beatles one. Like, I don't know if that's by accident or by design, but it makes it feel like it's part of the same song. It's just like,
yes, I know. Yeah, I think it's just because all the creativity's just been sucked out, and it's just like the most basic, like 4/4 kind of. Yeah, it's like constant plonking notes. Like, I think Murray joked that he did it in about 15 seconds, but I think actually to write a bad song deliberately and make it be funnily bad is quite a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is really funny, especially for me. It's the way that the syllables of the lyrics like land on the wrong beats and stuff, and like the emphasis is all wrong. Like, you know, my dog, my dog, my dog. And all that, like.
I loved his interview in Unleashed. He said he did do 2 or 3 versions of the terrible songs, and then he sent them to Russell, and he said, "Yep, that's the one." He nailed it.
I guess the first 2 were just too good.
Yeah, it sounds like Murray, to be honest. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have gone around the house, and that's the terrible versions of the song have been stuck in my head.
Yeah, literally, like for a whole day last week, it was torture.
So then they visit the main recording room, and we see that the whole orchestra also sounds terrible. And the Doctor and Ruby, they debrief in the cafe, and the Doctor says that everything's gone dull. No one hums, no one whistles, no one taps their feet. And Ruby says, but music isn't something you can lose or steal or kill. It's natural. And we get the first mention of how do you say this word? Alien tones? Olean tones?
Oh yeah, aeolian tones. Yeah,
aeolian tones. That's it. Had you heard that term before? I hadn't.
It rings a bell. It's one of those weird sort of scientific-y angles on it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's music that's not sort of generated by humans, isn't it? Like wind blowing through trees.
Yeah.
It says aeolian sound or aeolian tone is sound that is produced by wind when it passes over or through objects.
It's interesting to say that like that's just happening in nature with no intelligence behind it. But then when a human ear hears it, that's what makes it music, because it's our interpretation of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get our next Susan Twist cameo. So she's playing the tea lady. We thought it was interesting that the Doctor doesn't see her again in this episode.
And I think someone mentioned that before. That seems to happen whenever she's around or something, that the Doctor never actually makes eye contact with her. But obviously after Boom, presumably he notices the face on the screen of the ambulance in Boom, so he must be aware of her now as the lady on the face of the ambulance, do you know? So if she appears again and he doesn't say anything, but he sees her, I'd be surprised.
Unless he was so focused on the mine that he couldn't actually pay attention to her face. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, might be one of those things where he does see her again and he's like, oh, you're familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, she's seen her in Boom, but from what we know of the next episode, the Doctor's not in it. So in theory, Ruby might meet Susan Twist, and Ruby was passed out, so she didn't see the woman on the ambulance, or she didn't get a good look at her anyway.
Yeah.
So she might evade being noticed again. So
I do care more about her now, having seen her in Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, she was fleshed out a lot more in Boom as a villain.
Yeah.
I thought she played it.
She's like the face of that brand, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like clearly there's something malicious there.
Yep. So we know something's not right about her because she talks about Margaret Lockwood in The Wicked Lady. Did you understand that reference, Stephen?
Not on viewing, but I Googled it and saw people talking about it on Twitter. It's a film, and Margaret Lockwood was an actress who played a character called Barbara in that film. So people. I mean, it's probably a red herring, isn't it? But it's such a random thing to say, though, for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So in this episode, in theory, we've got a mention of Susan and it alludes to Barbara.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, yeah, but she refers to Margaret in the past tense as if she's dead, but she wasn't in that time zone in that year. So that's interesting.
Yeah, doesn't she say that was me, Margaret Lockwood, and whatever?
Yeah, she does say that, doesn't she?
So what does that? What does she mean? That was me.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe she took her slot.
Yeah,
if she can travel around or something.
Might be touched upon again in a later episode. But yes, so the Doctor says to Ruby, "You take John Lennon, I'll take Paul McCartney," and they try and figure out what's going on. And then we get another glimpse of Jinx in some really funny shots. So she's on the door handle, she in sort of the reflective metal,
pouting and pouting at the viewer.
Yes, and she's on the tea boiler, just giggling to themselves.
She's giving Ursula Sorry, they're giving
yes.
Ursula at this stage.
From The Little Mermaid.
100%. I knew it reminded me of something, and I was like, yes. When you said
Ursula's very drag coded anyway. That was the intention originally, but obviously it's come full circle because she's reminding me of Ursula now.
Yeah,
or Jinx rather.
And they go up to the roof. Beautiful scenes. The Doctor and Ruby sort of burst out of these swinging doors. They look out across London and Ruby says, like, there's a smog, and the Doctor refers to it as not a smog, it's like a darkening. And then we get a First Doctor reference.
I live over there.
You do what?
I live over there.
What do you mean?
Shoreditch. I'm there right now.
Okay, you're gonna have to start again.
In the past, right now, I live in a place called Totter's Lane. 1963, I parked the TARDIS in a junkyard, and I lived there with my granddaughter Susan.
Oh.
It's an extremely overt reference, isn't it? Like, in the past, you've had vague mentions of Susan or like a picture of her or something, but the fact that they've actually said it outwardly like that in the script, where you can't miss it, everyone's heard it, everyone's seen it, is surprising. And then what's more surprising is the fact that the Doctor says, oh, she might be dead, and then sort of brushes it off. Like, it's almost like he knows something's happened to her. And obviously, in The Five Doctors, she comes back, but that wasn't really written with being canon in mind, I don't think. So it's like, where is she? Like, as far as he's aware, she was left on Earth, but in the future. So it all gets a bit like, I don't know, really. I don't know why he wouldn't be more concerned about where she is. But obviously, from a production point of view, all these new viewers that's supposed to be watching aren't going to care about what's going on with Susan. So it's a bit weird for me. Like, I don't know why they mentioned it and then brushed it off immediately after. I like it, but I like 60s Doctor Who. So it's like, I don't know who else that reference was for.
Yeah, no, I agree, actually. I feel exactly the same. Like, it was really cool as a fan to hear the name drop. But it is a bit confusing when the intention is supposedly to welcome in these brand new viewers who don't need to be bogged down by all this backstory. And yet they're dropping very specific references to something from 60 years ago. Yeah,
when it's not been done at all in New Who, really.
Yeah.
Not as heavy-handedly as that. Even in Moffat's era, and we know what he likes to do with continuity and stuff and references, it just feels a bit odd. I mean, I like the reference, but I don't see like functionally why it's there.
It's sort of like a run through of that like whole plot, because he says it in quick succession that he lived in the junkyard with his granddaughter Susan, doesn't know what happened to her. She might be dead, she might not be, and that's sort of, or you sort of needed to know if they did do something with it. But also, is it just a mention because he happens to be in the same time, in the same place where he was as the First Doctor? So would it have been weird for him not to mention it, I suppose?
There is that as well, yeah.
If he hadn't mentioned it, people would definitely have been like, why the hell didn't they mention it?
Yeah.
But now that they've mentioned it, people are, of course, like, I don't really know why they did that. You can't please everyone.
You can't please anyone in the Doctor Who family.
100%. And we all drive ourselves mad looking into it way too deep. It's probably going to mean nothing, but anyway, we'll see. But yeah, we get another mention of the Time Lords being murdered.
You're what?
My granddaughter.
Susan.
We could go and have a look, but you know, timelines.
Well, you've got children.
I did have, I will have. Time Lords get a bit complicated.
Yeah, but you've got a granddaughter. Like now, like today, back in our time, my time. Where is she?
I don't know.
How do you not know?
Time Lords were murdered. Genocide rolled across time and space like a great big cellular explosion. Maybe it killed her too.
I don't know how familiar you are, Stephen, with like classic Who. Have you gone back and watched?
I mean, I'm not an encyclopedic knowledge, but an okay knowledge.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I did always think it was quite weird the way the First Doctor leaves Susan behind.
Yeah.
And there is something delicious in, like, if she was resentful towards him for doing that, because he didn't give her a choice. He sort of decided what was best for her, but then never revisited her again. So there is something there. I don't know if Russell's brain is ticking, but...
The thing is, in the Five Doctors, she appears and she sees the First Doctor, and obviously no reference is made to, like, how long it's been since they last saw each other or anything like that at all. She's just like, grandfather, I knew I'd find you here.
Oh, grandfather, my goodness, I found you.
And then they're like pals. And then obviously at the end, she's like unceremoniously spirited back to wherever she came from. And you don't know anything about it at all. So... And
also these future Doctors, the second, third and fifth Doctors all see her and they have no reaction. They're just blanker. Like,
Like who's she again?
Yeah.
Is she in what's the EastEnders one? Does she
Dimensions
appear?
in Time.
Yeah, is she in that?
I think she is.
Mm.
But if she is, it's very unceremonious. Like everybody
Right. Okay.
they just appear. There's no like actual dialogue about character development or anything like that at all.
Right. Fair enough.
But I know that Caroline Ford always didn't. She resented it when Susan was referred to as like a companion. She always made the point of saying that Susan was her Doctor's granddaughter and should be treated as such. So not like a companion in a long list of companions, basically. So I suspect if they were going to bring her back, it would need to be like a proper appearance, not just like a throwaway line. I think after the 5 Doctors, she was a little bit like...
Because it's interesting as well, they invited her to the 60th specials premiere, and people thought like...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the people thought that was quite odd that she's there. They didn't invite, loads of... they didn't invite everyone. I think Katie Manning was there, but she's everywhere, bless her. But Caroline Ford isn't one to attend things like that, so...
It does make you think, doesn't it? I think with a lot of this stuff in this series, Russell's like... He's had his first run where he was playing it safe, and now he's just doing kind of what he wants to do, but he thinks people will enjoy. So now is the time when he's going to try things like that. He'll say, "Oh, why didn't we bring back Susan first time? We'll do it this time."
Get that clown makeup on. I love it. I love to see it. I'm gonna use that as a clip when the finale's aired, and it's just she's not there.
Yeah, no sign of her.
Yeah, no sign of her.
That needs to become a meme now.
It was quite nice because I've really enjoyed watching Doctor Who. So my sister's a new fan since the 60th specials, so she really enjoyed those, and she loves Doctor Who now, and not interested so much in going back, but forwards. And when we were watching that, she wasn't fazed by it. She didn't really ask any questions about it. So
she just took it at face value.
Yeah, she took it at face value. But then, funny enough, when we were watching Boom, she saw the ambulance. She said, "Oh, that's the woman. She was in the last one." And she recognised her straight away.
Yeah.
So there's certain mysteries that the general audience are definitely sort of clinging on to. Mm-hmm. But that one is one for the older fans at the moment. But we'll see. The Doctor asks Ruby to play the piano because she's the last human with sort of music inside of her. Mm-hmm. This line got quite a few laughs.
It's all yours, honey.
Like the way Shooty says things is so good. A bit of dialogue I missed, definitely on broadcast, but probably because I was a few tinnies in. But
more than a few.
So Ruby finds out that the Doctor was in the pub at Christmas watching her play, and she had no idea. So he says to her, December 23rd, the King's Arms, you opened with One More Sleep, I think he referred to the song as. And she says like, "Oh, I can't believe you were there." And then a really quick line I missed a few times. He says to her, "It all comes back to Christmas with you." So that was interesting. But yeah, so then there's an amazing sequence. The whole room was like dead quiet, where she plays her own theme, and we get a very lovely sort of cameo from June Hudson.
I only knew because being
everyone
part of
was
the fan
screaming.
community, everyone was talking about it. Yeah, in the build-up, because I heard people say, "Oh, she's going to be in it," and
I'm glad she got in Doctor Who because her only on-screen appearance was in Class.
I have seen it. I didn't know she was in that.
It was again sort of a very quick cameo. She played this old lady in the corner shop wearing this big fur coat, and it was a great sort of little role for her. But it does sort of fall under the radar. But she's got her Doctor Who cameo now. That's on her CV. Bless her.
Yeah.
And God, she's in her late 80s now. She's still working. She must love it.
She's just supposed to be playing like a sweet little old lady, isn't she?
And she
does that very well.
Yeah.
She's very cute.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. I love her jumper that she wears as well.
She's sweet.
Adorable.
Also, when Ruby plays that song, she says that she wrote it for her friend who had her heart broken by a girl.
A girl, yes.
And I think that was Ruby.
Okay.
I think that was a previous relationship with Ruby's, I think.
Wow.
Boop, boop.
No, it's fine. Ruby is confirmed to be bisexual.
I think this is real. I'm not sure about Susan, but I think this is real. I think it's her.
I could see it.
The girl she references is actually in the taxi with her at Christmas.
That's right, yeah.
So it's a real on-screen character that we have seen. So yeah, I think you could be onto something there. So we get a lovely scene of these people in their apartments, and they can hear the music, and they're sort of breathing it in, and all different range of emotions. One woman cries, this kid sort of closes his eyes and smiles. The man's laughing to himself at the pure joy of this music that he's hearing. And June Hudson, she's looking wistful, bless her. The score that Murray Gold is amazing. I don't know what you guys thought of that Ruby's theme that she plays.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The way she starts playing it. It's almost like because she said she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't feel the confidence, and she's not using any sustain pedal at the start, which to me makes it sound a bit clunky. But I think it's deliberate on reflection. I think it's meant to sound like she's just sort of tentatively starting it, and then it kind of gradually builds, and the orchestra comes in, and it swells.
Do you find yourself able to switch your sort of music brain off when you're watching things like that? Because there's a whole YouTube channel online, I don't know if you've seen it, where they take sort of TV shows and like animated shows and things like that, where a character plays the piano and it shows you what they're actually playing from the keys, and it's not usually what you're hearing, sort of thing. So do you look at her playing? Can you hear?
Well, I know on Unleashed they said that she had a professional pianist stand-in double. So I'm guessing any shots where you could see her hands, it would have been accurate. No, I know what you mean though. Like when you have a particular area of interest and then you see it come up on TV, you're always tempted to be like, oh, well, that's not right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's funny, like having this sustained scene, this episode does feel really important, like for Ruby, and it's nice to get a companion that is very much like in the spotlight, and you feel like we do get to know her more and more every episode, especially after the last few companions we've had. I can't think of any instance in any of the previous like 4 seasons where we've had a scene like this, where it's about the companion. You can tell the emotion and what they're going through without any dialogue.
I mean, Russell is such an amazing sort of character writer, and he knows the exact ingredients into a pot to create such like real feeling characters. Mm-hmm. And I think we're seeing that a lot. Like you said, this episode is a real spotlight on Ruby.
Yeah.
Coming to terms with sort of life on the TARDIS and the implications of that. Mm-hmm. Then we've got Boom, which is about her having to try and rescue the Doctor. Mm-hmm. She doesn't do very well at that actually towards the end. But anyway, and then the episode after that, from what we know, it's just Ruby on her own having to solve it.
Yeah.
So yeah. It does create such a bigger picture of a character. You understand their motivations and things so much better. But yes, so then after that scene, so then the piano jolts away and we see that Maestro is summoned again, and these amazing like costume jewelried hands come out. It's just amazing.
And we hear the giggle. Yes.
What do we think of that, hearing the giggle?
It's really good. I really like it. The performance is very like theatrical and like affected, but I think it's just right. I couldn't offer any negative comments about Jinx at all for the episode. I just think it's perfect.
I was listening to another podcast today and they were saying, oh, what if the finale is the Toymaker teams up with Maestro and the Trickster? And I was thinking how good that sounds, but
yeah,
too good to be true.
I don't think they'd get on. Because it sounds like Maestro was relieved when the Toymaker was dispatched.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think they'd get on as a team.
Were you shocked when you heard that Maestro is the Toymaker's daughter? Because we knew that they were in the same pantheon, but they're an actual relation. What did we think of that?
I liked it. I like the song about Daddy, Daddy, me.
Oh, yeah. But I'm a bit confused about what that means, like for the Toymaker, who is this sort of transcendent godlike being, to have a child. What does that mean? Like, how does a god have a child? Is it, was there a mummy as well? Or is it just, did he just create them? Somehow,
like playthings sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, I guess the idea is that you could say that he might have, in the way that the Toymaker can make things appear or disappear, they might have like molded them, to create. They might have created something themselves, and then in that sense, it's the Toymaker's child. But yeah, I was wondering myself as well about it. If it really is his offspring, then who's their mum?
That's such a more tactful way of putting it than what was going through my brain. I was like, oh my God, you're right. Who did he bang? Like, who's the mum?
Well, when I'm a god and a dad god, he loved you.
Maybe it's Ruby's mum, maybe.
What, Carla?
Oh God.
Maybe that's why she's so moody.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder what kind of toys he was making on the side.
It's got 3 settings.
Oh God. Right. So where am I? Yeah, so they run away and the Doctor decides to hide. What did we think of the Doctor saying, got to hide and run away? And Ruby says, but you never hide, knowing that in the last 2 episodes he did run away and he did hide. Did that feel a bit off, a bit odd?
It struck me as odd. I'm torn between saying, well, perhaps it's a bit sloppy on the writing side.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's deliberate and we just don't know yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It could be something that comes up again.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a lot of talk, isn't there, about episodes being reshuffled and things. I don't know about any of that. I don't really care about any of that either. I just think that it does seem a little bit strange that she makes direct reference to that, because she could have just not said anything. It makes you wonder why she points that out in the first place.
Yeah.
Because the Maestro doesn't really feel like an episode 2 villain. It feels like a villain you'd encounter later down the line. Yeah, that's how I think about it. Basically, I don't know.
The thing of Ruby saying, but you never run, and like we're wondering, how does she know that? It's just reminded me, I'm sure there's a very similar moment with Amy in series 5. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'm sure she says something about the Doctor as if she knows, but she's only just started traveling with him.
So what did we think when the Doctor uses the sonic to mute everything?
My question is, I don't really know what he was trying to achieve by doing that, unless it's just he was trying an option that he thought might possibly work.
Yeah, because to me, if what he's doing is trying to mask the fact that they're there, why wouldn't just being quiet be enough? But also, in using his tech to do that, is he not telling Maestro there's like an alien there who's intelligent, who's got like the ability to actually silence everything? Do you know? Mm-hmm. But I guess it's because it leads nicely into that you can only trick them once, which I do like.
Yeah, definitely.
So I like that.
It harks back to the toy maker. You can only use a trick once. And poor June Hudson then opens her piano and they just wrote, oh no. So Maestro is instantly attracted, ascends the rope again and struts up to the piano and just sort of jumps into it, which is brilliant. And then sort of jumps out of June Hudson's piano and poor June Hudson's just screaming away, bless her. And
I'm surprised she just didn't have a heart attack there and then when he came out of the piano.
Just keel off her stool. But yeah, she does. She gets up and she tries to run away. She doesn't get very far. Maestro winks.
Yeah, so I love that.
Another like very meta breaking of the fourth wall, shuts the curtains, and you do hear quite an ear-piercing scream from June. I wonder how many takes she did for that, bless her.
I just love that when she shuts the curtains. It's such like a
camp.
It's so camp, but it's just like, if you don't like it, fuck you. Because the villain's just so like OTT. But
so
what a
OTT.
villain!
I mean, they could have just emerged, disappeared and emerged from the piano. But oh no, it's the strutting across the roof, and that jump into the piano is so beautifully done.
If it had been any other era, the scene would have ended when she like throws the music notes at her, and all the notes fly out, and then she screams. Mm-hmm. That would have been the end. But because it's this era, she like struts across the room and then shuts the curtains.
Yeah. The Doctor says like he's worried that the world could slide into the pit without music. And Ruby says, I know you're clever and all that, but I've got news for you. The world did not end in 1963.
I think he feels that she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation because he's sort of rolling his eyes and stuff when she's talking through everything. And it's like, he's heard that before from loads of his companions. Oh, it doesn't end here because I am alive in XYZ.
Yeah, we don't ever
so
see
he's
it,
a bit
do we?
nonplussed.
They say like time can be rewritten. That's usually the explanation we get. But this time we visually see what happens.
It actually makes me think of Pyramids of Mars because I think that's one of the only times when the Doctor travels forward to show them what would happen if the villain's not stopped. Because he shows Sarah what happens if Sutek's not stopped in Pyramids of Mars. And I can't think of any instance where that happens except for those two stories.
So I think there was a plan to do it in The Unquiet Dead.
Really?
He was gonna go and show Rose a world populated by zombies.
Oh, gosh.
wow.
But then they decided to cut it, probably because they couldn't afford it. But I mean, I think it would have ruined that story. So I'm glad they didn't do it. But
I love The Unquiet Dead.
yeah, me
I
too.
really like The Unquiet
Yeah.
Dead. It's perfect the way it is. Maybe.
It is.
So we're back in the TARDIS, and there's some really nice sort of swooping angled shots. This director loves to like tilt the camera and just show like the expanse of the TARDIS. This set. Do we like this TARDIS?
I'm not in love with it. I like it. I think it's a bit too clinical. It needs to feel more lived in.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to feel more like it's their home. Because it's a bit Apple Store at the minute
Yeah.
for me.
That was my joke. I don't mind. I don't hate it as much as the Chibnall TARDIS, but
oh yeah.
The
Oh
curtain
god.
TARDIS.
Don't get me started on that one.
Yeah.
but I do prefer the ones that are a bit less machine-like and more sort of organic. Yeah.
We get a bit of a strange line of dialogue where the Doctor says,
When is it for you back home? What time are you? June 2024.
It's hard to keep track, but yeah, I think so. June.
so Ruby's been with the Doctor for 6 months.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
It doesn't at all. Because then in the
Wait,
next,
is that right?
in the next episode, she sees her first alien planet. So she's been traveling with the Doctor, but
6 months.
he picks her up on Christmas Day, and Space Babies, and then between Space Babies and this one, it's 6 months.
So what does that imply? That if, let's say, people are correct, that episodes have been rejigged, that both of these two were supposed to be much further down the line, do we think?
This one definitely, I would say.
How does this one make reference to 6 months? Because I know that Boom does, but does this one?
Yeah, because he says to her, "What's your time currently?" And she says, "June, July 2024. It's hard to keep track." But he picked her up in December.
Oh crap! Yeah,
2023. So between Space Babies and this episode, 6
There's a
months
massive
has
gap.
passed. Yeah,
and then it's reasonable to assume that Boom takes place after this or around the
but
time
she's
of this
been
one.
to an alien planet.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Unless, at the end of Space Babies when they go and see Carla and Cherry,
Yes.
maybe he leaves her with them and then he comes back and picks her up again.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like a Clara type situation.
Oh, true.
But yeah,
I guess we don't know enough, do we?
we don't know.
So that's a bit of a mystery. So we see London, it's decimated, a nuclear winter, and it's really tough on Ruby, these scenes. Like, she gets really upset.
Well, yeah, because her whole life's been destroyed.
Yeah, and she asks where her mum is. Her mum's dead.
Yeah.
And the Doctor says, "This is what we're trying to stop." And then the camera sort of pans out and we see a glittery, sparkling heel on a bit of debris.
On a bit of rubble.
Yeah, and we hear boop! And then spotlight comes on, London's gone, and Maestro's in an amazing purple outfit, a brand new outfit, and just completely toys with the Doctor and Ruby in this scene.
This is Maestro's version of the puppet show.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, and funnily enough as well, in this Celestial Toymaker, the original story, there's like a white void. So this is like an inverse of that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taken once again to the domain of whichever villain they're fighting, basically. And in this case, it's like a black, not a studio, but it's like a kind of, you get the impression they're in like some kind of stage.
Yeah.
And then they have a little song.
They have a little song.
I really like the songs in this bit. I just like it. I just know that they say daddy a lot.
So we get another reference to the, I can't say the word. I want to say areola, but that's not the right word.
Definitely isn't that. Aeolian.
Aeolian. That's it. Aeolian tones. So that's what Maestro's feeding on, because Ruby says, like, you've taken music away. What are you going to feed on now? And they say Aeolian tones. Okay.
It'll sustain them.
It sustains them. Yeah.
I think they say that everything makes sound, or like atoms hum or something, so that everything is capable of
Resonates.
being taken over.
Yeah. Everything that resonates, every atom hums, and anything that plays a tune is mine.
Sing along, Doctor.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first time we watched this, it completely went over my head, probably because I was drunk, but that Maestro is trying to control the TARDIS,
Yes.
the Doctor says, and that completely went over my head. I thought that it was just chaos. I didn't realise what was going on. So today I realised.
Yeah. And and that sort of harks back to the Utopia episode, doesn't it? They can only go between the last there and the last place that they were. That's so Russell sort of used that before. So the episode's really ramping up at this point. Then we see Maestro in their sort of final form that we see them in the episode, sort of like the toy maker's sort of outfit, but
it's like a marching band.
Marching band, yeah.
The costume notes in Doctor Who magazine said that it was inspired by Sergeant Pepper.
Oh, wow.
Which makes sense, obviously. But obviously the toy maker's version is what this is like a derivative of or a variant of. So, yeah.
And I thought it was quite sinister, the sort of the black around Maestro's mouth and around their eyes.
Yeah, so this for me is when the character becomes like unnerving and unsettling. I think prior to this, it's very much like, you know, silly in one scene or jokey, but it has the undertones. But here you can see that this is Maestro very much in like a predatory form where it's like starving and it's angry.
Yeah.
And they just need to consume because there's nothing left.
Yeah.
But I think it's implied, isn't it, that they've like drained the world at this point. That's why they say that Ruby's the only human left. So it's scary. They're scary at this point for me.
Yeah.
I think it's the makeup definitely in the performance.
And I think Jinx sort of plays it at this point slightly differently, just really like ramping up the unhinged nature of the character.
Yeah, the fun facade's like crumbling away.
Yeah, so Maestro uses, what is it called, the music notes? Like all the different bars? What's the term for that?
Oh, like a stave.
Yeah.
Stave.
Yeah.
Is that what you would call it? The
5 lines that you put the notes on. Yeah. I have issues with that, by the way.
Oh, go on, do tell.
Well, I can understand it, but it irritates me a bit because it's a bit like, you know how in films when they want to show time travel, they show clocks and things, and it's like, that's not time. That's not what time looks like. That's just something that we use to measure time.
Yeah.
And it's the same with if Maestro is supposed to be the god of music on a universal scale, the things coming out of them are a very Western sort of, you know, only within a set limited period of time. It's a very specific interpretation of music. It doesn't sort of feel universal.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I understand it's a 45-minute episode of television aimed primarily at children and we want it to be accessible. So I understand. I'm not going to, you know. But yeah.
See, both very valid sides of the conversation.
Yeah, very valid.
I like that.
The only thing I was thinking about that is when Maestro first appears and attacks Timothy Drake, did those staves first appear out of Timothy?
Yes. So I think they do.
Maybe it's Timothy, like
they come out
Drake's
of his chest.
Interpretation of music that they're using. But so Maestro uses those staves. I'm glad I know the term now, to grab Ruby because she's in the booth and the Doctor's sort of in the recording studio with the,
he's
the
occupied.
guitar. Yeah, and Ruby's hearing like Murray Gold's music, like his like score of music.
Oh my god. I don't mind it. It's the really crazy joke that he then makes about, I thought that was non-diegetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is, apparently everyone on the production team was saying, you need to cut that. And Russell was like, no, we're keeping it.
At risk of seeming dense, I didn't get that joke.
No, it's fine. It's quite a specific and technical joke.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because if it was non-diegetic, how would he have been able to hear it anyway? Right? Because it's to do with film sound being in universe or not.
Yeah. Is it suggesting that the Doctor is kind of transcendent and is always slightly aware that he's in a TV show?
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah.
Which also, you know, there are other things that link to that, like him saying to her, in all my adventures, there's always a twist at the end.
Yeah.
And then a wink to the
like
camera.
That. Yeah.
The implication is that it is in universe. But the weird thing about that joke is that the Doctor wouldn't be aware of it. If it wasn't in universe, why would he say, I thought that wasn't in universe? Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
That's what it means, isn't it,
The
Stephen?
implication being that he can always hear the score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a silly joke, isn't it? And again, I missed it on the first watch. I only realised that it was a joke today because it was so quick and there's so much happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So Ruby gets dragged away, and the Doctor's stuck in the recording sort of studio. Smashes the booth window with a stool. Grabs the Sonic, and he runs and confronts Maestro, who's got Ruby sort of what's the
in
word?
The tendrils.
Yeah.
Tangled up.
In this scene, they act sort of like serpenty, I noticed. They're sort of writhing and sort of checking out Ruby and getting nearer, and then she sort of wriggles, and then it sort of like,
they're like prodding her and stuff.
away. Yeah, they sort of got like a life of their own. It was weird.
I think they're just supposed to be like an extension of Maestro's reach, right?
Yeah. So then we get a very significant scene where Maestro puts Ruby into a trance and becomes visibly scared and said, "That's wrong. There's a hidden song deep inside her."
That's wrong.
What do you mean?
There's a hidden song deep inside her soul. What is it? What is this?
Christmas. The music that was playing the night that she was born.
How could a song have so much power? And power like him?
Like who?
The oldest one? On the night of her birth. He can't have been there. What for?
So obviously we talked about some speculation that it's Ruby might be sort of a creation of the Trickster, because the hidden song sounds very much like the Trickster's theme, but there's varying evidence of for and against that. But we shall see. Time will tell. If you want to hear more of our thoughts on that one, I definitely suggest checking out About Time's Space Babies episode, because we do go in depth about the theories on that. And then Carol of the Bells plays. Again, another reference to Carol and Thor. No. She's back. So, and then snow starts to fall again. So that's really interesting. So snow is definitely a recurring theme. Russell asked Moffat to incorporate snow into his episode. Which is interesting as well.
Is it not showing like that Ruby's got some sort of ability or power that when there's like a strong memory of something, she's able to evoke elements of that? So either like the sound of it, or like the smell of it, or the physicality of it, like with the snow. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what it feels like they're doing to me.
I wouldn't be surprised, because we've seen the Doctor laying down that I can't take you to that night. That's off limits. He says at the end of Space Babies. But I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Ruby like uses the TARDIS to just go there anyway, because it's just, there's something drawing her, isn't there? Or she's drawing it out, and I think they're going to meet in the middle. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, Maestro is visibly worried. I think we got sort of the impression of when we were watching it tonight, and they say, how could a song have so much power, and power like him? So we have a reference to a gender. So it's a him. The oldest one on the night of her birth. He can't have been there. What for? So there's a few tidbits there. Him definitely being the most interesting, I think. And on the night of her birth, so not when she was abandoned. It references her actual birth. So I don't know if that's important.
Yeah. Right, wasn't it implied that she was born that same day that she was abandoned?
Right.
Because she was given the birthday of
exactly.
Christmas Eve. Yeah.
She was put on the church when the day she was born.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
Okay, cool. Because in my head I was like imagining we're going to get like a flashback at some point of her mum like screaming with her legs up, and the Trickster's there like...
the Trickster's like pacing up and down like an anxious dad. Like...
Oh God. Okay. There's some real imagery that we've created in this session.
Oh Jesus.
The toy maker's other business venture is definitely a highlight. Okay. So then the Doctor finds a piano. Maestro is very funny. Their eyes just roll. They're just
Yeah.
they're not intimidated at all. The Mrs. Mills piano, she was a gal. The Shooty says, I love that. So yeah, it's a culturally important piano. We get a very controversial shot, the music battle in reverse. Oh God! When I first saw that, I was like, "That was a choice."
Music battle.
I'm not a fan of the whole music battle. If I'm honest, I think it's the weakest bit of the episode for me.
It feels a bit pointless to me. It's a bit like having a confrontation of some description, but it just seems a bit redundant. I like how stupid the music battle shot is, though. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It gets a free pass from me.
Someone on Twitter said it was like an anime.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. But I feel like the whole music battle scene with them going back and forth would have been improved if it was more like the music they were playing was having an effect on the environment. And like the walls were crumbling and like fire and stuff, like as it was getting more furious.
Yeah.
That could look, but then they've got a budget, I suppose.
Yeah, because it feels like it should be building up to some sort of like crescendo, doesn't it? Like, because it's getting more frantic.
Playing music at each other without it really having any effect on anything.
And then suddenly Maestro's instrument explodes, doesn't it? It like cracks up. But it would have been nice to have seen it like building up, maybe like back and forth a bit more. So it felt like there was like a physicality to it.
Yeah. I just love that Ruby said that she's not like that good on the piano. And then in this scene, she's playing the piano backwards.
Oh, yeah. Modesty.
Modest queen. Yeah. I love that.
I mean, also, she's 19 and she wrote that piece of music that she played earlier. And it's like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
we should get her involved.
Just something I just knocked out for my friend,
We should definitely get her involved in the fan orchestra. I think it should be a real asset.
Can I just say as well, when I was rewatching this the other day in preparation for my own podcast episode about this, it was Sunday morning and I was watching it, and my partner Ben, he wants nothing to do with these current episodes at the moment until we eventually get there in our run through. But he came down the stairs just at about this moment. And normally, if I'm watching Doctor Who and he comes in, he just goes, puke, and walks out or something like that. But he saw Jinx and he just stopped like halfway down the stairs and was just watching. And he just stayed watching for about 5 minutes. And I paused it and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Oh, I forgot what a good actor Jinx is," and stuff like that. And yeah.
I'm surprised.
That's the star power of Jinx.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't turn around and go, "Spoilers."
Yeah.
Go away then.
I think I probably did, actually.
Your river song comes out. So yeah, then the Doctor finds the first note and Maestro is like visibly hurt. Maestro falls to the floor. Then they're pushed to the ground. They're still laughing manically, but I think they're sort of panicking.
Yeah.
And there's one more note to go. And did anyone see the bum note coming?
I think it would have felt a bit dissatisfying if the Doctor had just managed to, nail it all straight away.
Yeah.
Bum note!
Out of their mouth comes, damn it, I've forgotten the word for it again.
The staves.
The staves. And they're sort of pulling it like it's a really heavy sort of whip, and just whips Ruby and the Doctor and sends the piano flying out of the room.
Yeah.
And it all sort of kicks off again. I like it when Maestro drags Ruby, is playing the harp and says, "Sorry to keep harping on."
Harping on, yeah.
I mean,
I love villain dialogue like that.
Yes,
one-liners.
Yeah, absolutely.
The funny thing is, why doesn't Maestro just kill them? Because we've seen that they just kill people indiscriminately. So for some reason with the Doctor and Ruby, they're like, "Oh, I'll put them inside instruments that take about 2 minutes to kill them."
Yeah, it's the classic villain thing, isn't it? I think they're enjoying playing with them, I think.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I could buy
surprised there
that.
wasn't a line about that, but yeah, I think they were just enjoying playing.
That's very toy maker of them, isn't it?
Yeah, because they were getting all these different instruments and it was all like chaotic and things like that.
Yeah, true. Okay, fair enough, actually. I'll accept that.
So then we see two of the Beatles, so John Lennon and the other one, Paul McCartney. They happen across the piano, and I love the image of the sort of, they look like they're made out of glass notes hovering
like
above
hanging
that.
over it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Jonathan Creek theme kicks in. How did I forget that?
Oh, yes.
That's bizarre, isn't it, that? Is that just a coincidence then?
It's a piece of classical music. It's called Dance Macabre. It's meant to be about like the undead and zombies and skeletons and things all coming to life and dancing.
Right,
Oh, wow.
okay.
It's that kind of thing. But yeah.
See, that's such a nice summary of it. Whereas I was on the night just shouting, Jonathan Craig, Jonathan Craig.
No, it is basically Jonathan Craig, isn't it? That's what you
Yes.
first think of. But yeah.
Oh, but
It's
yeah,
really interesting, Stephen, hearing what you have to say about it musically, because I like music, but I don't know how to talk about it, or I don't get references like that at all. So it'd be really interesting to see what you have to say about it, especially for an episode like this. It's really nice to hear your thoughts about that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I have another annoying little nitpick, which is
Tell us.
the doctor's trapped inside the big drum, which is called the timpani. And Jinx is going bang, bang, bang on it and getting two different notes out of it, but that drum is tuned to one pitch, so that won't work. But then, that's godlike powers making two notes out of it.
that's your music brain, isn't it? Not able to switch. I love that. So we get some great scenes of the maestro just banging this drum and poor the doctor's just trapped inside. It's quite sinister actually when he manages to push through, and it's like elastic sort of material. But yes,
Giving him Sorbaloff.
Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah. We even had a bit of a love life.
That to me felt slightly odd because the drums that I've seen and touched, because my brother used to have one, you couldn't do that to a drum skin. It's too tight. It's too solid.
Yeah,
which makes me think it's like some sort of enchantment or spell on the drum kit.
It is, yeah. And also like the cello or the double bass or whatever it is that Ruby goes inside, like it wouldn't be that hollow inside for her to, there wouldn't be that space for her inside.
Yeah, there's
so
like constructions inside it, aren't there? There's like supports and things. Yeah.
It's all for show, really, I think.
It's quite creative licensing, isn't it? Creative license.
But it is creepy if Shooty trying to break out of the drum. That's creepy.
Yeah.
And it feels suffocating as well that he's like, So the other Beatle, the two Beatles are over the piano and they find the last chord. The piano comes to life and starts chasing Maestro, who's running away like in pure like villain style.
I must have completely missed that bit. I don't remember the piano chasing Maestro.
It sort of like comes to life and bursts through the studio's doors again. And then
I was probably distracted by John Lennon and his arms in that shirt.
Do you know what? I don't think he was as buff as that. I don't think he ever wore shirts that were as tight as that.
Of course.
So for some reason they chose an actor that was like,
Yeah. Because I thought that as well when I watched it. I was like,
Oh God. So there we go. Hottie of the week is John Lennon. Never thought I'd say that in my life.
No.
There we go. So then Maestro gets dragged into the piano in very camp fashion and says, "The one who waits is almost here."
I'm not sure how to feel about it.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of mystery and a lot of things like that, isn't it?
It feels very on the nose as well. Like it would be nice if this sort of stuff's implied rather than said in the dialogue, because we've seen that Russell can do it in the past.
Yes.
I know that there wasn't anything particularly subtle about Bad Wolf or anything, but it's like...
It was more subtle than this.
It was more subtle.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't that subtle still. If you need to look for it, you'd see it. But it's the fact that when you have to rely on someone actually saying it in dialogue, which seems to be like the new norm, I just wish it was a bit more subtle than that. But, I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah.
So
it's less ham-fisted than wait till I tell the boss sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of don't mind that because it's Beat being a bit of a shitty villain, isn't it? And it's like, I've got someone scarier than me. He's going to sort you out. So I don't really mind that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is very on the nose.
And the visual of this as well, it's so good of Maestro being like dragged into the piano and they're just like, they manage to hold on to get that line out and then get sucked in and the lid slams shut. I think that's delicious.
Yeah.
And they run to the roof and they can hear that music is back. And then we obviously get one of the most memorable parts of the episode. There's always a twist at the end and there's a wink at the camera. So again, breaking the fourth wall.
Another one.
So what did we think? Apart from it being a major earworm, it's still stuck in my head.
Do you know what? I don't mind it. I mean, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people, I think, hate it because they feel like, oh, Doctor Who's being Disneyfied and turning into a musical. But it makes sense in the context of the story that we've had this godlike music being there, suppressing everything, and then they've gone, and then there's all this leftover energy that's just got to go somewhere.
Yeah. That was my interpretation of it on the first watch anyway. You do kind of assume that everything needs to like snap back into place, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't mind the fact that there's a song and dance number. The only bit that I find slightly difficult is the fact that they're talking about a twist at the end, that it's so meta that they're commenting on as if the Doctor's aware that his adventures are TV episodes. And I'm curious to see where that's going.
Yeah, I think it's likely, like referencing that Susan Twist is going to appear at the end of the series. I don't know how it's going to connect to that meta sort of scene. There's always a twist at the end. I don't know, but
could do.
I don't know if it was one of you guys who said it, but this whole sequence is like the state of play still in place. So like in The Giggle, where the Doctor was able to get the mallet out, this whole sequence is the state of play, like the remnants of that, and music rushing back, and it's before it all settles back to normal. I like that idea, that explanation of it. But when I was watching it on broadcast, and again tonight, I thought, do you know what, this whole sequence is just so joyous, and only Doctor Who could do this. And I love it. I really do love it.
I wouldn't want it in every episode, but I think thematically and for a one-off, it's fine.
Yes.
I don't get why people having like, breakdowns about it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Doctor Who fans crying into their Cheerios over that.
Honestly, at the minute, it's a different thing every day.
Cheerios.
That's it. Yes.
It's terrible.
Oh, God. So then we get a shot of Henry Harbinger. He's he appears. He's still he's
sneaking
still
away.
Yeah. I mean,
like the sneaky little rat that he is.
Yeah, what a little rat. So he's clearly going to come back again.
I don't want to see him if Maestro's not there.
No. I feel like Henry Harbinger is like the manager of the gods. He sort of releases one. Okay,
is that important?
Yeah. And he like released one. Okay, Maestro didn't work. Who's next?
Do you think?
Yeah. Like the Grask was to the Trickster.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like the gods wouldn't need someone like that to let them in.
But Henry was the one who orchestrated the Devil's Chord that released Maestro in the first place.
True.
I don't know.
I like to think of him that he's an extension of Maestro, to be honest.
But then Maestro was banished, so why wasn't he banished with Maestro?
Well, maybe he's like weakened or something, or can't do anything for a while.
Maestro referred to him as their prelude.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but not as good as Rob Madge in The Temptation of Sarah Jane. Time to collect my prize. I think they need to bring him back. They have their umbrellas and they go back to the zebra crossing towards
I love the imagery of that.
Yes, it's gorgeous, the rain and everything.
Yeah.
And the zebra crossing now is a giant piano like in the film Big. And they dance and hold hands and run into the TARDIS together laughing.
Yeah.
I felt like if this was series 1, we would have had a scene where Ruby wanted to go home and give her mum a hug because she thought her mum was dead when she saw London destroyed. But Ruby's she's quite able to just brush it off. She's like, right, what's next? Sort of thing.
I mean, for me, it's like they're still affected by the fallout of all the music going missing until the very end. Until those doors shut, they're still affected by it, really. Even like the musical cue and the doors shut.
Do we like that?
It's like bookending the episode as like this kind of slightly meta musical episode. Do you know?
Yeah. Are we all happy to give ratings out of 10? Do we have a rough figure in mind?
So
I think I rated it. I think I rated it the other day, and I can't remember what I rated it. So I have to think how I feel right now.
I think you'll be surprised because I will rate this quite highly. I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh,
wow.
That is high.
It's just such a comfort episode. For all the thoughts and feelings and speculations, this is an episode that I know I can put on whenever and it's just pure comfort and entertainment and like joy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's got such a high rating from me. But I don't expect the same from you guys. What do you guys feel?
For me, this is the strongest one we've had so far, but Boom's close behind, and Space Babies is lower than both of them, obviously, for me. So I'd probably give this 8.
An 8?
Because I really enjoyed it. There's loads to like in it. Jinx is amazing. And for that alone, like that gives it loads of points. But there's a few things that aren't perfect. I just give it an 8.
Okay, perfect. Stephen, what about you?
I'm going to say a 7. Still fairly high.
Yes.
I just, and I think it's really enjoyable. But there's a phrase that keeps coming to my head when I think of this episode, which is style over substance.
Yes.
I feel like it's a little bit, the story is quite paper thin, really.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
It's just all a bit, but it doesn't mean it's not enjoyable, which it is. So, yeah.
Yeah.
When we all watched it together, our friend Tom, he said that he like about the plot. There was no plot, and that was his big gripe with it. Very paper thin plot that gets it through. I do see that 100%.
It's weird. Like, it's not at all what I would have wanted from Doctor Who, really, when I was younger. Now that we're all a bit older, like, I don't care about Doctor Who being cool anymore. I want it to be, like, fun and exciting. And, like, campy's good. Like, I'm fine with that. So I really like it. But it's weird. Like, all of us sat watching it the other week. Like, I feel like that's the perfect audience for something like this. Like, not young kids, do you know, like when we saw series 1 and we were entranced by it. I just can't imagine it having that kind of impact on someone younger. But I loved it as camp and silly. Do you know?
Yeah, I do wonder, like, what kids are actually watching Doctor Who now. I mean, I work with kids, and if I ever mention Doctor Who, they're normally like, what? Like, it goes over their heads completely.
Yeah.
And like, one kid today said to me, oh yeah, I've watched one episode once. And I was like, oh, okay.
If that was me, I would have been like, which one? Like,
yeah, no, I did, but they couldn't remember.
Oh.
The gas mask. Go on, describe it to me. Describe it to me. They said something about tall giraffe heads. I was like, I don't know what episode that could be.
Just made it up. But I think that's the thing. So I really enjoyed it, but I think that I enjoyed it so much more because the situation that I find myself watching it in helps me to kind of embrace it a lot more. I don't know. It's weird because it's not. Strange. I don't really know what I want from Doctor Who anymore.
As a 29-year-old gay man, this episode does speak to me personally.
It ticks a lot of boxes.
It does, yeah. Like camp drag queen villains and, you know, breaking out
John
into
Lennon's
song and
tight
stuff.
shirt.
Yes. Exactly. But yeah. So I think that's it. That was very in depth. I'm so sorry to keep you nearly 2 hours. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right.
But thank you so much for talking about The Devil's Chord with us.
No, it was a delight.
Your insight, your musical insight, amazing. And
it's lovely to hear your feedback and comments on it, Stephen, as well. It's really nice to have a different voice.
Yes. And just give a shout out to your podcast. So where should people go to find you?
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the regular kind of places. Also Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's About Time podcast. It's basically me putting a gun to my boyfriend's head and forcing him to watch Doctor Who.
I love that. I absolutely
it's a
love
blast.
it.
So give it a listen.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. We'll stop it there.